In all my centuries as a historian, I have chronicled the rise and fall of countless empires. I have seen mighty civilizations flourish and vanish, each leaving its unique imprint on the galactic tapestry. I am Thalcora of the Vranori, and it is my duty to record the stories that shape our shared history. But even I, in all my years, had not foreseen the impact humanity would have on the galaxy. Their story is one of transformation and evolution from diplomats to warriors, from peacekeepers to forces of legend. The Galactic Council, the imposing body that governs our galaxy, was founded ages ago to bring unity among disparate species. But over time, it became something else, an entity mired in bureaucracy and strict adherence to outdated protocols. Every aspect of its function is weighed down by endless red tape, where even the simplest decisions can take years to finalize. The Council operates with a rigid hierarchy that prioritizes procedure above all else, led by species who view change as a threat to the established order. When humanity joined the Council, it was not through conquest or intimidation but through diplomacy and innovation. Their leaders came offering knowledge, especially in the areas of medicine and healing. Within just a few years, humans were helping to cure diseases that had plagued entire species, extending lifespans, and promoting interspecies cooperation. The Council tolerated them, even humored them at times, for the benefits they brought. But many Council members saw humans as little more than idealistic newcomers, full of lofty ideals and noble intentions. Humans were admired, but always at a distance, with a condescending undertone. Many of the older species scoffed at Earth's designation as a death world, an official term the Council used for planets that were inherently hostile to life. Death worlds produced resilient species, yet most Council members viewed Earth as a fluke, and humanity as soft-hearted and unthreatening. As I observed, I noted their tenacity, their adaptability. Yet even I could not have predicted what was to come. They seemed too peaceable, too committed to diplomacy. But this was a facade, one born not of weakness but of choice. When I look back, I see that humanity's patience was a choice and a formidable one at that. When that patience would eventually run out, it would reveal a strength and determination that would shake the very foundations of the Council. And so, this tale began, with a galaxy ready to underestimate humanity and a bureaucracy too blind to see the force it had quietly awoken. Tensions escalated on the distant planet of Merex 4, a world recently embroiled in civil strife and one ravaged by a mysterious, virulent disease. The Council, cautious as ever, quickly declared Merex for a contamination zone, restricting all aid and enforcing a strict quarantine. No one was to intervene, no aid was to be sent, and the inhabitants of Merex 4 were left to their grim fate. To the Council, this was a clear, immovable line, a decision sealed by protocol, free from compassion. But humanity saw things differently. They had a small, volunteer medical fleet trained and ready to respond to crises, regardless of the risks. Despite direct orders from the Council forbidding any action, a human medical ship, filled with supplies and a crew of doctors, nurses, and scientists, headed to Merex 4. Their mission was not one of conquest, nor rebellion, it was a simple act of compassion, an insistence that no life should be abandoned. The Council, however, saw this as a direct violation of protocol, a challenge to their authority. Without hesitation, a Council strike fleet intercepted the medical ship, destroying it with ruthless precision. It was a warning and an assertion of the Council's unyielding power, a declaration that no one, not even humanity, could defy its edicts. The humans, the Council assumed, would mourn and return to the Council chambers with contrite apologies, hoping to preserve their place within the galactic order. I watched as this tragic incident unfolded, recording the details with mounting fascination and dread. It was not only the brutal destruction of a vessel filled with peaceful medics that caught my attention, but also humanity's reaction. Normally warm and diplomatic, the humans' response was different this time, cold, resolute, and disturbingly quiet. There was no outburst, no chaotic show of anger. Only a grim silence settled over Earth's representatives, their eyes sharp with a resolve that felt unfamiliar. As an historian, I knew the designation of Earth as a death world was often brushed aside. Many council members had viewed it as an exaggeration, irrelevant to the humanity they had come to know. Yet now, as I watched that steel-hard determination in their leaders' eyes, I wondered if we had misjudged. The news traveled quickly across human networks, sending waves of shock and horror through their communities. Within hours, Earth's leadership issued an official demand for an explanation, but received only hollow apologies buried in bureaucratic jargon. The Council expected humanity to relent, to accept their role as compliant members of a structured society. Yet I could sense a shift. The humans did not retreat. They were no longer pleading or protesting. Instead, I saw a new resolve take hold, a transformation that would soon show the galaxy a side of humanity few had anticipated. In my notes, I recorded a chilling observation: Earth's once soft-hearted diplomats had taken on an air of grim purpose. It was the first warning, and as a historian, I feared it would not be the last. The Council's response to humanity's outrage was predictable: more bureaucracy, more diplomatic runaround, and more stalling. They buried Earth's demands for justice under layers of protocol, dismissing the humans' pleas with patronizing reassurances that the matter would be reviewed in due time. The Council remained confident that humans, like so many before them, would accept their place and abide by the decisions handed down to them. After all, what could a single, young species do against the established authority of the galaxy? But humanity was not like other species. Their response was swift, measured, and shockingly precise. Rather than lashing out in rage, they issued a single, powerful message to the Council: they would not stand by as their people and principles were disregarded. Then, in an unprecedented act of defiance, a small human fleet appeared at the Council's military outpost nearest to Merix 4, launching a coordinated strike. It was a surgical operation, targeting only the installations responsible for the assault on their medical ship, and sparing civilian areas. The message was clear: this was not a reckless attack but a calculated move. Humanity was showing restraint, yet asserting that they would not allow themselves to be subjugated. The Council was stunned. The humans had acted with a discipline and resolve that caught them entirely off guard, employing precision tactics and weaponry the Council had not believed they possessed. Their actions were not those of an impulsive, rebellious species, but of a formidable power, one that was both controlled and unyielding. As I documented the events, I found myself drawn to humanity's history, seeking to understand the depth of their response. Unlike many species in the galaxy, humanity's resilience was born from constant struggle against their environment, against themselves, and against all odds. Earth was not just a death world in the sense of its harsh climates and ecosystems. It was a place that forged survivors, a crucible of evolution that shaped a species uniquely equipped to handle adversity. What intrigued me most was their approach to warfare. Humanity's tactics were rooted in adaptability and restraint, honed through centuries of conflict on their homeworld. While other species focused on overpowering their enemies with sheer numbers or brute strength, humans employed strategy, precision, and innovation. They knew how to fight, but they also knew how to choose their battles, and how to communicate strength without unnecessary destruction. Their restraint in this operation did not stem from weakness but from a disciplined choice. They were sending a message to the galaxy, and to the Council itself: humanity would not be intimidated. And I, as a historian, began to see the irony of the situation. The Council, so bound by tradition and protocol, had assumed humanity's goodwill was a sign of naivety. In reality, it was a sign of strength. By underestimating humanity, they had unleashed a force far more determined and capable than they had imagined. Despite humanity's decisive retaliation, the Council doubled down on its underestimation. They dismissed the strike as an anomaly, an impulsive reaction they could suppress with further displays of authority. But as I watched humanity prepare for the next phase, I noted an unsettling fact: the Council's decision-makers, so entrenched in their belief of their own power, had failed to see the warning in humanity's actions. And thus, I recorded the Council's critical miscalculation, mistaking humanity's restraint for weakness. They did not realize they were dealing with a species that understood survival as more than submission. Humanity was not simply another young race needing guidance, they were a species forged by hardship, one capable of resisting any force that threatened their values. The Council would soon learn that in trying to subdue humanity, they had lit a fire that would not be easily extinguished. The Council's response was as layered and meticulous as one would expect from an entity steeped in eons of bureaucracy. To the humans' decisive strike, they replied not with strategy, but with procedures. Endless decrees, new sanctions, and threats of further restrictions were imposed on Earth. Council officials issued statement after statement, denouncing humanity's actions and branding them a destabilizing force. To these leaders, humans were upstarts in need of stern punishment, a lesson in obedience. Yet for all their words, they had severely misjudged their adversary. The humans had made it clear that they wouldn't bend to protocol or bow to red tape. Determined to enforce their authority, the Council took the next step, assembling an intergalactic fleet. It was a massive, multi-species show of force, with ships from all corners of the galaxy. It was not a subtle move, but one that carried the full weight of the Council's intention. They sought to remind humanity of their power, to intimidate them into submission before the escalating defiance could spread to others. Yet, within the Council itself, cracks were beginning to form. For the first time in many cycles, some of the Council's species questioned the wisdom of this escalating conflict. Among these dissenters were races who had benefited from humanity's medical technology and who had seen Earth's peaceful initiatives firsthand. Humanity's support had brought real, tangible improvements to their lives. And now, witnessing the Council's swift punishment for an act of mercy, some alien factions began to doubt whether they could trust their own leaders to protect their interests. Rumors spread quietly at first, but soon gained traction, whispers of rebellion, of siding with Earth against the bureaucratic oppression. As I observed these murmurings, I noted how humanity's capacity for compassion had planted seeds of dissent in a way the Council hadn't foreseen. Though Earth was a single planet, the strength of their ideals resonated across star systems, drawing the sympathy and covert support of alien allies. As these whispers grew louder, certain factions took quiet action. Ships from distant planets began to offer intelligence, relaying details of the Council fleet's movements and vulnerabilities. Other species provided supplies, weaponry, and even strategic insights, though they did so in the shadows. For them, supporting humanity wasn't merely an act of defiance, it was an act of survival. They feared the Council's authoritarian grip as much as humanity did, and Earth's stand against it offered hope for a new balance in the galaxy. Through my research, I watched this fragile alliance taking shape. Humanity's ideals had won them allies who were willing to risk everything. In their empathy and their defiance, the humans had achieved something no other species had managed in generations. They had forced the galaxy to question the Council's authority. And in that moment, I realized the depth of the Council's misjudgment. Humanity was no longer isolated, no longer a lone, rebellious species. They were now the center of a gathering storm, a force that, together with their allies, would soon challenge the Council's control in ways that would echo through the ages. As I documented these events, it became clear that this escalation would not lead to a simple resolution. The galaxy was on the brink of a transformation it had long resisted, and humanity was at its heart. The moment finally arrived when humanity's defiance could no longer be contained within diplomatic channels or covert operations. With their allies at their side, Earth made a decisive statement: they would stand united against the Galactic Council's oppression. The human-led coalition amassed near a remote star system, where they prepared for a battle that would be the ultimate test of their strength, resolve, and unity. Humanity's fleet was a formidable sight, a mix of their own advanced ships and those of alien allies who had quietly defected to their cause. Each vessel was a testament to the resourcefulness and adaptability of a species that had transformed adversity into innovation. The Council's fleet arrived soon after, a vast array of ships from every corner of the galaxy, with dozens of species represented. To the Council, this was a final show of supremacy, a chance to restore order and remind humanity of its place. But as the two fleets faced each other, it became clear that this was no ordinary standoff. This was the beginning of a conflict that would determine the fate of the galaxy. The engagement was swift and brutal. The Council's fleet, true to its hierarchical nature, operated with structured tactics and rigid formations. They believed that sheer numbers and their collective firepower would overpower humanity and its allies. But Earth's forces moved with an agility and unpredictability that the Council had not anticipated. Human commanders deployed unorthodox tactics, using adaptive maneuvers and exploiting every possible weakness in the Council's formation. Their ships darted in and out of enemy lines with frightening precision, using technological innovations that hadn't been seen before, demonstrating a mastery over both offensive and defensive strategies. The Council's fleet, built on conformity and predictability, was ill-equipped to handle the chaos of human warfare. As I watched, I was struck by the sheer ingenuity at play. Humans seemed to embrace the chaos of battle itself, using it to outwit and overwhelm even the most disciplined Council squadrons. Just when it seemed the human-led coalition might be overwhelmed, Earth revealed a trump card that would forever change the course of the battle. Humanity unleashed an experimental weapon, a powerful, pulsing energy field that temporarily disabled all Council technology within its range. It was a bold, unprecedented move. In an instant, the Council's mighty fleet was thrown into disarray. Ships powered down, weapons went offline, and communication channels fell silent, leaving them vulnerable and exposed. In contrast, humanity's forces remained fully operational. This weapon wasn't just a display of technological prowess, it was a statement of human ingenuity and resilience. Earth's scientists and engineers had created something specifically designed to counter the Council's power, leveling the playing field in a way the galaxy had never seen. With the Council's ships in chaos, the human-led coalition struck decisively, taking advantage of the confusion to dismantle the once intimidating fleet with ruthless efficiency. When the battle ended, the Council's fleet was left broken and scattered. Humanity had done the unthinkable, achieving a decisive victory not through sheer might but through adaptability, strategy, and the willingness to defy every expectation. And yet, as the dust settled, humanity did not press forward to conquer. Instead, they broadcast a single message to the Council and the galaxy: they sought peace, not dominance, and they desired only their right to exist without the Council's oppression. Through this act, humanity demonstrated that their stand was about freedom and self-determination, not conquest. They had shown the galaxy their strength but also their restraint, offering a path forward built on mutual respect and coexistence. As I recorded these events, I realized humanity had not only won a military victory but had also reshaped the galaxy's understanding of power and unity. The galaxy now saw them as a force that would not only endure but thrive, no longer underestimated, and no longer ignored. The final stand had ended, but humanity's influence had just begun. The battle had ended, but its effects rippled throughout the galaxy, altering the balance of power and forever changing how humanity was perceived. As I, Thalcora, reviewed the events, it became clear that humanity was not the species we had once believed them to be: diplomatic and harmless newcomers. In their resilience, empathy, and willingness to stand firm, they had revealed a strength few had anticipated. They were capable of unimaginable fury yet tempered by an unexpected mercy. They fought not out of pride or conquest, but out of conviction and an unbreakable loyalty to their principles. And in that unwavering resolve, they had claimed the respect and fear of a galaxy that had underestimated them for too long. Humanity's transformation was both inspiring and humbling. In their victory, they could have imposed their will upon the Council, demanding reparations, dominance, or subservience. Yet they chose a different path, one of tempered power and dignity. They offered terms of peace, extending a hand that signaled not defeat, but a hope for a future built on understanding. I documented this with reverence, knowing that humanity had not only defended their sovereignty but had reshaped the very concept of galactic diplomacy. The Council, fractured and shaken, could not ignore the lesson humanity had imparted. For eons, it had stood as the unchallenged authority, governing with rigid control and absolute authority. But humanity's victory had shown the Council that their power, once thought invincible, had limits. Alien species that had once feared speaking out began to question the Council's methods and motives, demanding change to prevent future conflict. Quiet movements for reform emerged, and even high-ranking officials conceded that it was time to re-evaluate their policies. Some factions within the Council began to advocate for a new era of collaboration, where rigid bureaucracy and oppressive control gave way to a more equitable system. Humanity's actions had inspired not only fear but also hope, challenging the Council's foundations and forcing it to reckon with the demands of a galaxy that had awakened to the idea of freedom. In my chronicles, I noted that humanity had not just won a battle, they had become a catalyst for galactic evolution. Humanity returned to their own corner of the galaxy, yet their influence was felt in every star system. Their allies, once covert, now openly stood with them, forming bonds that went beyond mere political alliances. The galaxy had seen that humanity's true power lay not only in their advanced technology or tactical prowess, but in their capacity to build connections across species lines, uniting races that had once viewed each other with suspicion or rivalry. To the Council and the galaxy at large, humanity was no longer an anomaly or an upstart species, they were a force that had proven it could shape the galaxy, and they had chosen to do so with compassion as well as strength. I, Thalcora, could only conclude my chronicles with a deep respect for this species from a death world that had not only survived but had inspired an entire galaxy. They had shown that power wielded wisely, tempered by empathy and courage, could not be suppressed by bureaucracy or arrogance. As I finalized my accounts, I realized that humanity's legacy would echo throughout the stars for generations. They had proven that even the smallest species, when united by a shared purpose, could defy the mightiest of forces. Their story would serve as a warning and a beacon, a reminder that the Council's authority was not absolute, and that true strength lay in resilience, adaptation, and the unbreakable spirit to thrive against all odds. With a mixture of awe and caution, I penned my final lines: humanity may have come from a death world, but they have shown the galaxy that they are a species born not just to survive, but to shape the stars themselves.